In a warehouse, a worker was reorganizing several fertilizer bags to make them neat. Everything seemed normal until the tall stack of bags beside him suddenly tilted and collapsed onto his body. He instinctively reached out to stop them, but the weight of the fertilizer bags was far too heavy. He was immediately pinned under dozens of falling bags. His nearby co-workers quickly rushed over and began removing the bags one by one to rescue him. According to the report afterward, they managed to pull him out in time. Fortunately, he was completely safe and not injured. This incident shows the importance of proper stacking and unloading techniques, especially when materials are heavy and placed in tall piles. Bags must be tied or secured when stacked high. When unloading, workers must remove items from top to bottom and from the outside inward. Never stack materials in a straight vertical column like in this situation. Workers must also keep a safe distance from large stacks, and use proper machinery or tools for lifting and arranging materials. A few simple steps of checking and securing the load can prevent dangerous accidents. On the public square, a bulldozer had just finished pushing snow into a large pile and was reversing to continue its work for the day. At the same time, a woman walked behind the machine and accidentally stepped into its blind spot. Because the operator could not see behind the bulldozer, he unintentionally reversed into her, trapping her under the wheel. The driver immediately sensed that the vehicle had hit something and stopped to check. When he approached the rear of the machine, he was shocked to find the woman lying motionless beneath the wheel. He rushed toward her, hoping to save her, but by then, it was already too late. This tragic accident shows that operating construction vehicles in pedestrian areas requires absolute vigilance. The operator must use the warning horn when reversing and should be equipped with cameras or mirrors to eliminate blind spots. In crowded areas, it is best to have a spotter guiding the vehicle's movement. Pedestrians must also keep a safe distance and avoid the rear area of construction vehicles, especially when they are moving backward. Just a single moment of inattention can lead to consequences that cannot be undone. A worker was standing on the truck bed to help stabilize a heavy load as it was being lifted by a crane and lowered onto the vehicle. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until the lifting sling suddenly snapped. The massive load, weighing several tons, dropped straight down toward the exact spot where he was standing. In that split second of danger, he reacted incredibly fast and jumped off the truck just in time to escape the falling load. This incident shows how extremely dangerous it is to stand beneath a suspended object, even for a moment. The lifting system, including the hook, the cable, and the anchor point, must be inspected carefully before raising any heavy load. Workers must maintain a safe distance and never stand directly under a load that is being lifted. Inside a busy warehouse, a worker was operating a forklift to retrieve a crate of milk from a high shelf. As the lifting mast was slowly lowering the load, the forklift suddenly lost balance and tipped toward an area where several workers were standing. The situation happened so quickly that they had no time to react and were struck by the falling machine. This moment serves as a strong reminder of the dangers involved when handling elevated loads without proper stability control. The operator must ensure the forklift is positioned on a solid surface and maintain a safe distance from other workers during the lifting and lowering process. The operating zone should also be clearly marked, and unnecessary foot traffic must be restricted. Workers should never stand underneath or near the potential tipping path of the forklift. At a residential construction site, a worker lay down in the middle of the pathway to joke around with his co-worker who was driving a tow tractor toward him. The driver assumed the man would stand up and move aside as the vehicle approached, so he did not slow down. Meanwhile, the man on the ground believed the driver would stop the moment the vehicle touched his foot. This dangerous misunderstanding caused the tow tractor to run into him, trapping his body under the vehicle in a bent position. The driver immediately reversed to free him. Fortunately, he did not suffer serious injuries, but this situation could easily have been fatal. This incident is a clear reminder that a construction site is not a place for jokes or reckless behavior. Tow tractors and heavy equipment have slow reaction times, and operators cannot stop instantly. Workers must avoid playful actions around moving machinery, and drivers must always reduce speed and use warning signals when approaching people. A single moment of careless joking can turn into a life-threatening accident. A man was using a hammer to break down a very solid concrete pillar. He focused all his strength on the base of the pillar, without noticing a large cracked section forming above him. When he delivered another strong blow, the upper concrete slab suddenly broke loose and fell straight toward him. He had no time to react and was struck by the falling debris. His co-workers nearby immediately rushed over and removed the concrete pieces to pull him out. This situation shows that demolishing concrete structures is extremely risky when focusing on one spot without assessing the entire structure. Workers must carefully observe signs of cracking, leaning, or instability in the upper section before applying strong force to the lower area. They should also use protective equipment such as hard hats and safety goggles and avoid standing directly under any potential falling zone. A worker in a paper factory was connecting a new sheet of paper to the rewinding machine. Everything seemed normal until the paper roll above suddenly released paper too quickly, forcing him to work faster to keep up with the machine. As he guided the edge of the paper into the machine to form a new roll, his hand was suddenly pulled into the rotating shaft. The strong force dragged his arm deep inside and pinned his entire body against the machine. Fortunately, another worker nearby noticed the accident just in time and quickly called for help. Thanks to their fast reaction, the workers managed to pull him out before more serious injuries occurred. This incident highlights the danger of working near rotating machinery. Operators should always stop the machine completely before feeding material, use proper tools instead of hands, and avoid rushing when the machine speed changes unexpectedly. On a high-rise building under construction, a group of workers were working near the edge without any safety harness. They were preparing to pull a steel plate up to a higher floor. When one worker stepped onto the steel plate to reach the lifting hook, he accidentally walked too far toward the outer edge of the plate, which was sticking out from the building's edge. The steel plate suddenly lost balance and slipped off the ledge. The worker standing on it had no time to react and fell along with the plate. Fortunately, they were only on the second floor, and according to the report, the worker did not suffer any life-threatening injuries. This incident highlights how dangerous it is to work near elevated edges without proper fall protection. Workers must wear harnesses, secure themselves to anchor points, and ensure all materials are firmly supported before approaching the edge. Even a single misstep can lead to a fall and a serious accident on high-rise construction sites. The worker was cleaning up and threw a pallet from the second floor to the ground. Because he was not paying attention, he did not notice that his foot was tangled in a rope that had been tied to the pallet. When the pallet fell, the rope pulled him down, causing him to lose balance and fall along with it. The loud noise alerted a nearby co-worker, who immediately ran over to help. Fortunately, thanks to his quick reflexes and proper landing, the worker remained safe and did not suffer serious injuries. This incident highlights that dropping objects from height is extremely dangerous if the surroundings are not checked carefully. Workers must ensure no ropes, obstacles, or tied materials are attached to their bodies before moving heavy items. If objects must be lowered from above, a secured safety zone and clear warning signals are required to prevent accidents. On a massive sand transport ship, a bulldozer was pushing sand into piles so that an excavator on the dock could scoop it onto the conveyor system. Although the working area was wide open, the bulldozer was deep inside the ship's cargo hold, completely hidden from the excavator operator's line of sight. During operation, the excavator's bucket accidentally struck the bulldozer's cabin. The excavator operator did not notice the impact and continued retracting the bucket. Only when the bucket lifted and caused the bulldozer to tip over did he realize something was wrong. Fortunately, the bulldozer's cabin was built very solidly, so the operator inside was not injured and remained safe. This situation shows that even in wide and open working environments, blind spots between machines operating at different elevations can still lead to dangerous accidents. Heavy equipment operators must maintain clear communication, use radios or hand signals, and rely on spotters when visibility is limited. Each machine must ensure its movement area is always known and visible to others working nearby.